Thank y'all for joining us tonight. This is the All Candidate Forum meeting, and this was organized to give the citizens of Warren County an opportunity to hear their candidates. And so we're just going to jump right in because I know y'all didn't come to hear me talk. Here's how this is going to work. We have 3 questions. Everybody will get the same 3 questions. You each have 3 minutes to answer your question when I call on you. Chris is going to be our timekeeper. He's going to give me a 2-minute and 30-second warning, and I'm going to interrupt you and say, you have 30 seconds left, and you really have only 30 seconds left. At the end of the 30 seconds, he's going to tell me again, and then that's when I'll tell you that your time is up, and we'll move on to the next candidate. Our first candidate is Donna Hardy Ferris. Donna, your first question is, what makes you qualified for this office?
Okay, I feel I'm qualified for this office because of the many years of experience that I have in the job that I just left. Been with Warren Yazoo Mental Health for 31 years, and those of you that know anything about that, that is basically Region 15 of the community mental health centers in the state of Mississippi. Have over 13 facilities, and I've worked in probably all 13 of them at different times. I've got extensive management experience. I've got 26 years of that 31 has been as a senior manager. And as a senior manager, you know as well as I do, that's far more than working in just one division. You have to manage multiple divisions. I've got extensive management experience in creating programs, creating new services, creating systems to make the programs and the services run more efficiently. If something doesn't run right, I'm the one that they call. Come in here, figure out what's wrong with it, why is it not efficient, why is it not cost effective, why is your utilization rate not what it's supposed to be, why are we not getting the customers in here that we should have, why is the bottom line not what it's supposed to be. It really doesn't matter if the sentence ends with, why is it not being the way it's supposed to be, I'm going to come in and fix it. With that kind of background, you learn everything there is to know about an operation. You pretty much have a license to stick your nose in wherever it needs to be done, and I do that. That also gives me a lot of experience in playing the devil's advocate. I'm going to always be the one who says, if you do this, please understand this is what's going to happen. You don't have to take my word for it. You can still do it the way you need to do it. But I'm going to let you know, if this is the course of action you take, this is going to be the likely consequences. You put all that together, and you have tons of evaluation, assessment, and planning capability. You take all that, and it's one of the foundations of any management position. Regardless of whether you're managing and administering programs for mental health or whether you're administering those programs for the Chancery Clerk, the basic skills are always going to be the same because the cornerstone of what you do is always the same. You're looking after your bottom line. You're looking after providing quality customer service, and most of these are good customer service agencies. What do you want? And I want you to remember that. This job is governed a good bit about statutory requirements, just like my other one was. But once you get past what the law says you have to do, the rest is, what do you want? Everybody needs to be capable, if they're going to call themselves a public servant, to be interested in what you want and then be capable of giving it to you. Thank you.
Walter. All right, Walter, same question. What qualifies you for this office? You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Being that I am currently serving as city clerk for the city of Vicksburg and have been in that capacity for the last 11 years,
Start the time.
Start over. Yep. Being that I'm currently serving as city clerk for the city of Vicksburg, and I've served in this capacity for the last 11 years, 12 years actually, I have to abide by state rules, state guidelines, statutory requirements, very much just like the Chancery Clerk's position. We have a stringent requirement that anything that we do is audited annually. And previously having worked in the Chancery Clerk's office for over 15 years, under the direction of Orrin Bayless, who was Chancery Clerk at that time, I have that knowledge and that capability and experience. I served as accounts payable clerk, accounts receivable clerk, inventory control clerk, accounting systems analyst, and elections administrator. So I have the knowledge to work with each one of the various departments and offices within the courthouse and with the Board of Supervisors to carry out the wishes according to the supervisors, according to state law. One of the other things that I'd like to mention is that previously when I did work in the courthouse, computers were non-existent. Well, I was one of those individuals that helped install the first computer system, which was a Wayne VS-45 system in the courthouse, and later we went with the AS-400. So I've got extensive training on the AS-400, familiar with the software that they're currently using, even down to understanding the records that the Chancery Clerk maintains as far as filings that are recorded in the courthouse, in the Chancery Clerk's office, land records that are recorded. So I've got all of that knowledge still, even as my positions have changed. I still maintain a working knowledge of what was previously one of my main positions in the courthouse. Thank you.
Alicia Ashley. Same question.
Hello, my name is Alicia Ashley, and I'm the independent candidate for Chancery Clerk. I have extensive legal knowledge. As for the past 10 years, I've worked with local attorneys here in Vicksburg. 85% of what we do in our office goes through the Chancery Clerk's office. You have your divorce actions, your custody actions, paternity actions, the land record filings, all that is handled through the Chancery Clerk's office. Chancery Clerk also works very closely with the Chancery Court system, so I have a good working relationship already with that court system. All our filings go through the Chancery Clerk and are handled through the Chancery Court. I have a very good rapport with the individuals already there in that office. I am a mother of 4. I have 4 children from ages 20 to age 5. They're wonderful to work with, but learning with the children helps me coincide with the community. And it's my goal in life to serve the citizens of the community, and that's why I've decided to do this. I think I have the knowledge through the legal work that I have done for the past 10 years to handle this job. When I went in that office 10 years ago, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Now that Ms. McGee has decided to retire, that's what I choose to do. And I would appreciate your vote on November the 8th to help me take care of you.
Thank you. Gene Thompson.
Hi folks, I'm Gene Thompson. I've been a businessman for 25 to 30 years. I've been in a very broad aspect of business, from consulting to advising, on-job management, working with various groups, production lines, and so forth. I started out back quite a few years ago in probably 1964. I started out as an apprentice under Mr. Robert McGuffey. He was a very renowned lumber inspector for Anderson Tully. I went from there on into my own businesses, and there I own 3. I own a manufacturing facility, 2 wholesale companies, and jointly I owned another firm, which was a brokerage with another company. My qualifications are very broad, and when we get to the point of legal aspects, you best know what you're talking about. You've got to get the message across. After all, we are the servants of the people. People come in, they're looking for advice. You have to give them the benefit of your experience. And you better be right, because someone down the line can hurt very badly. We cannot take chances on lack experience. We have to have someone who is a motivator, someone that can get the job done, find the different spots where there is problems and get it corrected. I feel that I do meet those qualifications, and if you choose me as your Chancery Clerk, it will be an honor for me to represent you fine people of Warren County in that capacity as your next Chancery Clerk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next question is, have you as a candidate been given equal access to budget and office records? Donna Ferris Harding. Have you as a candidate been given equal access to budget and office records?
That's an interesting question. It'd be hard to describe what you mean by equal access. On the times that I have come up to the Chancery Clerk's office, and I've been up there several times, mostly on the front end of the campaign, trying to determine whether this was really something that I wanted to do. And then the second time, trying to decide if it was something that I would enjoy to do, because the two of them are important to me. First, I have got to figure, do I want it? Can I do it? Can I meet your needs? Then I have to decide if I'll be happy. So I asked for things that would help me make that decision. So probably yes. Now, on the budgetary question, I did ask for budget information, and the only thing that I was able to see was the portion of the budget that comes from the county. So I never have had the opportunity to see the operational budget that you have that has come from the collections from the Chancery. You know, two different things. There's the pot of money that comes from all the services that you as Warren County citizens came up there and paid for, because again, it's a customer service related organization, so you don't get anything there. I know you know that. You don't get anything for free. You have to pay for it when you go up there. So there's that budget. I've never seen that, so I don't know. I have been privileged to other records that I asked to look at, just as far as, you know, what goes into a day of the Chancery Clerk. So I've taken a look at records that are compiled for the Board of Supervisors. I have not personally looked at records that come from the Chancery Court, but I didn't request that. As a administrator of a mental health facility, I've already worked with all those organizations. So I too have had plenty of time working with the Chancery Court and their offices, as well as the Board of Supervisors. So I would say I've gotten what I asked to look at, other than I have not received a full budget. But I had every question I've ever asked, I believe, was answered. I also believe
You have
that
30 seconds.
I also believe that if there's anything that you know, that I wanted to know, I think I got a fair and honest answer for that. Thank you.
Walter Osborne.
As far as the budgets are concerned, again, as Ms. Hardy just said, there are two separate accounts. One that's maintained by the county, and another one that's maintained by the Chancery Clerk herself. And those records are public records, are available for public record. I have not reviewed her records per se, but I know they have been available if I wanted to look at them, because I've been up there also on several occasions since she has informed me that I could look at those at any time that I'd like. What I did want to know was basically how many records are filed in the Chancery Clerk's office to date, because I know back when I worked there previously, before we came into a recession, there were numerous records that were filed in that office. And since we've been in the economic recession, I know those numbers have slacked up drastically. Some of those numbers I see currently because I am city clerk for the city of Vicksburg, and some of those funds have to be settled to the city of Vicksburg. So I'm the one that receives those funds and has to reconcile those reports back to the mayor and alderman. So there is accountability on that part. But the county budget is also, like I said before, it's also public record, and I'm aware of some of the county's budget, but not the exact numbers for the 2012 fiscal year that started October 1. Thank you.
Alicia Ashley.
I also, like Ms. Hardy and Mr. Osborne, I know there's two budgets. I have not viewed them. I know they are there to view. I have also requested to see how many filings come through the office. In 2010 is the year that I looked at, and it's an extensive amount of filings that come through that office. But all that information is public record, and any time that you would want to view it, all you would have to do is ask, and they would allow you to do that. Hopefully at some point here we will be able to go in and look at that information and gather that information and see.
Thank you. Jean Thompson. Yes, I will. Have you as a candidate been given equal access to budget and office records?
The answer is no. And unless there's a public announcement showing those records, I don't think that any candidate should be privy to that. Now, the one that will be chosen to be seated as the next Chancery will have plenty of time before he is seated in that office to review all of those records. It's something that is not made public unless there is an accounting for that particular reason. Thank you very much.
And our last question is, what will you do in office to improve efficiency and operations within the office? Ms. Hardy.
Now, that's a good question. It's a deep one, but it's a good one. I'm going to agree with Mr. Thompson with what he said a while ago when he said that whoever wins this position has got ample time once it's determined that they're the winner. You have got the majority of November and December to get in there and begin to learn what all is there, look at the records and see what you've got. I think it wouldn't take any more than that amount of time for any good administrator to size up at least what's there. Now, once you're in office, that's a different story. I think that improvements can be made in a couple of areas, and this is no reflection on the current administration that's there. I think that Ms. McGee has done an outstanding job and seems to have, from what I can understand, one of the best staffs in the courthouse, which is a plus for any new candidate to come in and have such a seasoned group. But there are a couple of things that when you're knocking on doors that people ask for. You know, they want to see these land records. All the public records go online. That's something that's got to be looked at. You know, and I know it's got to be assessed from the top and bottom. I don't know how much that costs, but it definitely has to come about at some point. And it's it may have to come in phases, but it needs to come because it helps that particular service become more user-friendly to you. And I'm a strong believer in taking every service there is and making it user-friendly for the customer, but equally as user-friendly for the staff. The customers, you're the customers of the courthouse, okay? Every time you come in there, you're a customer, but keep in mind, if I'm the Chancery Clerk, you're not my only customer, that staff is my customer. So everything needs to be tweaked just as easy for them to provide to you as it is for you to come up there and get it. Yeah, another thing that would help things be a little bit more efficient would just be being able to upgrade the technology on the end of how you pay. I believe it's mostly a cash basis up there, and it would be nice to come in and use a credit card, debit card, something like that. I know that the money amount may not be big all year round, but I know when you come up there to get up to date on your tax redemptions, you might be putting several $1,000s on the table at one time. So it'd be nice to hand over that credit card instead of having to peel that out. Makes the office a lot more efficient. Anytime you can cut down any possibility or any opportunity for fraud, then you have made the office more efficient. Anytime you can make the services as user-friendly for you and user-friendly for the staff, you've made it more efficient. There's also some things that could be tweaked, I'm sure, for the attorneys that are coming up there, so things could be properly coded on their copy machines, so possibly when you make a copy, they already know what attorney did it. It'd be nice for that attorney to probably be able to figure out what client to bill it to by adding to the codes. There's 1,000 little tweaks like that. You're in my area of system improvements now.
That's it. Thank you.
But that goes, the staff has a lot to do with that. Thank you.
Mr. Osborne?
One of the things that I think you have to look at when you talk about improving efficiency in an office is the budget. And being that we, like I said previously when I was asked the other question, being that we do have a sluggish economy right now, tax collections are down. We see that both on the city level and on the county level. And people have less money to work with to handle the same debt that they currently are working under. So as far as improvements that need to be made, the candidate for Chancery Clerk has to take into consideration with the monies that are set aside by the Board of Supervisors, what they can actually do to improve efficiency within that office. I think when you look at the Chancery Clerk's office, as Ms. Hardy just said, you've got a good staff that works there. I've worked with some of that staff previously, and there are some areas for improvement. Some of the things that I would like to see done that have already been, that were started when I previously worked there was binding, rebinding, and putting on computer a lot of the old land records and a lot of the filings that have been previously recorded in that office. Because you'll find that the Chancery Clerk's office has the largest volume of paper probably in Warren County, in the courthouse. So ways to cut down on all of that, to improve the availability of data and records for the citizens and also for attorneys, because attorneys are some of the main users of the files and the records that are located within the Chancery Clerk's office. So what I would like to see done is to continue placing those records in a safe manner that's accessible for attorneys and for citizens if they want to come in and research them. And when we talk about putting them on the internet so people can access them, I think that's a wonderful idea. That's something that I would like to see done also. But what we also have to take into consideration with that is that there's laws that have been put in place to, how do I say it, to redact Social Security numbers, because whenever you make a filing in the courthouse, most of the time a Social Security number is related to that record.
You have 30 seconds left.
Related to that record. So there has to be a method of redacting all that information from the land records in order to make that available for the public. Some counties have already placed those on the internet, but it does have Social Security numbers available. So, and I have seen that myself in researching. But that's some of the things that I think that need to be done. Thank you.
Ms. Ashley?
They speak of, bringing the Chancery Clerk online so records would be available online. The Chancery Clerk's office, a few years ago, they instituted the MEC system, which is the Mississippi Electronic Court System. Attorneys, the original filings they can take to the courthouse, but anything they file in a court action after that can be filed electronically from their office. They do not have to take it to the clerk's office unless it's an order. If it's an order, it goes to the judge and then it's sent to the Chancery Clerk. So they are making strides to get you closer to the online so the public can view that information online. But there are some tweaks with that system that I see working in an attorney's office that I think could be done to correct that matter. Sometimes when a judge is given an order and it's sent to the clerk's office, it takes a week or so to get that in the system, so an attorney could not pull that information up. But and the reason it's taking so long is because it's just so that they have such a volume of paperwork that they're trying to scan into the systems and for everybody to view, that they may need one person set aside just to scan that information into the MEC, because I think it's not just one program they have to scan it in, it's several. I think they have two. So it's taking them longer to do that. If the attorney does it themselves, it's there automatically. But if the clerk is having to do it, it takes a little longer. So there are some issues with that can be worked out that I have seen from an attorney's office perspective, which I would attempt to do. And it's several things that I think that I could try to institute to make things better for the public when they come in to look for something. But that's what I would try to do for you.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson? What will you do in office to improve efficiency and operations within the office?
That is a very good question. It really is. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had the honor of being in Mr. Sonny King's home. One of the first things he said to me, he said, I would like one time to be able to go into a public office and be treated accordingly, very cordially. And this will be one of our priorities to upgrade that. When you come in there, you will be greeted, and your business will be foremost in our mind. It will be taken care of. Now, we have a lot of good people there in the Chanceries that have worked there for many years. I will be a take-charge manager. We will look for stagnant situations, bottlenecks, and alleviate those by perhaps even reassigning different positions to different people. Those people that cannot work in that system, being disgruntled, not very cooperative with the other people, they simply cannot exist there. I plan, if I am selected as the next Chancery, to make it superior than any other time in its existence. And you can do this by good manager, good leadership, and we can cut corners by saving money in areas where we spend simply too much time for payrolls and things that overexceed the limitations. Our record keeping will be improved with the new technologies we have in computer. Right now, the records are being transcribed into new modern technology. And this will alleviate any lost records, and it will make it more readily. When you come there, you don't have to wait 2 days, 3 days, or come back, we'll find the records. It will be instantaneously. It will be something that we all can be very proud of. And to me, it will be something that I can leave, and perhaps maybe 100 years down the line, somebody says, yeah, I know Gene Thompson. He was one of the best Chanceries we ever had. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. That concludes this portion.